Hi again. Um, my mother stopped by earlier, and I kind of got interrupted, which wasn't. I mean, it was nice to get out and do something different. She had the day off and decided to come by and just say hi. Um, I ended up going with her, and we just kind of hung out a little bit. She threw her fishing pole in at the pond down the road. Um, then just went over and watched the latest episode of The Last of Us 2. Um, but yeah, back to the exhaustion. We didn't really do much when we went out. I sat in the car while she got her oil changed, and then um, like I said, we went to a park and just walked around a bit. She threw her fishing pole in, um, but that was exhausting. Back to the point in the previous video. Yeah, that was exhausting. Um, Something simple like walking through a park, and it's hard to do that. Something that should be relatively enjoyable, just relaxing. It becomes a chore almost. It's it kind of like sucks the joy out of everything. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's because it makes everything 10 times more difficult. It's like imagine carrying around a 100-pound backpack everywhere you go, and the only relief you get from the exhaustion is just sitting or laying down, sleeping, taking a nap, which I actually had to do when I got back home. I was so tired, I had to take a nap. Then, of course, I feel guilty about it. When I wake up, I go, man, I just lost an hour of my day. Uh, it's, yeah, more rambling. You know, I guess I just wanted to continue uh, the thought that I had earlier from wanting to talk about the exhaustion and what it's like. But I think I kind of reached the end of that thought process, anyways. But there was some more examples that I could give. Just based off of what had happened from the end of that video to this one. Just walking around the park exhausted me to the point where I needed to take a nap. We didn't walk much. Maybe 15 minutes. I've finally experienced some nausea as well, which I hadn't experienced up until the last week, which I was pretty fortunate and grateful for that. Um, there are enough side effects, not having one of the major ones was I was pretty grateful for. But yeah, I've been experiencing some nausea. Just I don't want to eat. And when I do eat, it upsets my stomach. Um, so I don't really like that. I don't really like any of it very much. I mean, obviously, but uh, yeah, it's not a fun experience. These video qualities are really bad. Um, like I said, it's wasn't something that I thought about too much ahead of time. I just felt compelled to do it one day. I've noticed that I want to go back and like rewatch old videos and sit there and judge and critique myself, and I don't really want it to be that. I don't want it to be something I obsess over and then end up just wanting to delete everything eventually because I don't know, because that's what it sounds like something I would do. Um, I'd rather just leave it there raw, you know, the way it is, and just try to post it and then forget about it basically. Maybe go see if it's getting views, and if somebody's watching it, then great. And if not, just leave it there, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what to do with it, but I don't want to sit around and obsess about it, and it's I don't want it to be that. I'd like to have some more concrete topics to talk about, just to give me some kind of direction with the videos so that I can kind of keep my train of thought consistent throughout, um, you know, a 10, 15, 20-minute video or 5-minute video or whatever I do. Uh, but I don't really have any kind of topics in mind that I feel like I want to talk about. You know, sit around and think of a few things, maybe some things about growing up in the 80s, and uh, maybe do some entertainment reviews, things that we did as kids, or TV shows we watched, cartoons. Um, I think that's something that is uh, different about the current uh, entertainment culture, which I just got sidetracked, but it's a thought that's going through my head right now, so I'm just going to kind of roll with it. Um, but the cartoons, you know, as a kid, I remember waking up on Saturday mornings, and that was like the highlight of my week was Saturday morning cartoons. You know, getting up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning on a day where you should be sleeping in. Well, most kids nowadays would be sleeping in, I think. But yeah, getting up and running out and watching all the cartoons that you don't get to watch during the week. Uh, all a lot of the kids' entertainment nowadays tends to come from their phones, you know, or their tablets, or maybe even their TVs too. But I just don't think it's the same kind of environment. Excuse me. See, like immediately I had a thought, oh, maybe I should try to go edit that out. I don't know how to do all that. Like, I'm not a video editor. I don't even have video editing software. Um, but yeah, the cartoons uh, were a fun part of the experience being a kid. The Saturday morning cartoons. Me and my brother would jump up and go out and take over the TV in the living room and watch our cartoons. Watch G.I. Joe and Thundercats, and we didn't really watch a whole lot of He-Man. I don't know if that was on too early, or maybe that was just in a competing time slot with a show that we actually watched. But we didn't really watch a whole lot of He-Man. Yeah. So maybe talk more about stuff like that. Um, yeah, I think that's about all I got for now. Hope you have a good night.